Hi, I'm Laurie Radke, President and CEO of the Greater Green Bay Chamber. On this episode of Community Conversations, Susan Finco, President of Leonard Finco Public Relations, will join me and have a conversation about growing a successful business in Greater Green Bay. She'll also share some insight to her role on the Green Bay Packers Board of Directors and a little bit of advice that she can offer you and others on their career path. You'll find excerpts of this interview in the spring issue of our Collective Impact magazine, which will hit your mailbox and the newsstand in May. So until then, enjoy my conversation with Susan. Susan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's been a pleasure. I've been here for almost 11 years, and we've had such an opportunity to work together on many different projects, and I've really enjoyed having that opportunity and getting to know you and your company.
Well, thank you. It's always fun to be involved in the community.
I think I'd like to start off by just having you share why you think Greater Green Bay is such a great place to work and live and raise families.
I always tell people it's big enough and it's small enough. And by that I mean it's large enough that you have the big city amenities, you have a lot of things going on, you can find the people that you relate to and become involved in. And yet it's small enough that you don't feel like there's this huge population base, you can't get things done. If there are issues, people come together and solve them. So I like that analogy, it's big enough and it's small enough, and I think it offers something for everyone.
And I do think that's what makes Greater Green Bay so special. So when you think about those unique attributes that we have, how do we leverage that to make Green Bay even better?
I think you're seeing this happen more and more often. It's collaboration and it's outreach and collaborating with one another as organizations, as businesses, and being willing to reach out to groups and people that are different from you and bringing in them onto the table or into the tent, as it were, so that you get everybody involved. The collaboration is really what makes things happen in this community.
And you are so active, even on a personal level, and volunteering and giving back to the community. Can you share a little bit about, obviously, your company and really the role and impact you've had on Greater Green Bay, just being so active?
Well, Leonard Finco Public Relations is a full-service PR firm, and we specialize in issues management, stakeholder relations, internal, external communications, branding, reputation management, and crisis management. And although our client base is scattered throughout the U.S. and Canada, most of our clients are Midwestern based, and of course we got our start here. So being involved in the community here is part of who we are. We've been involved in some of the big projects, Lambeau Field referendum, Lambeau Field redevelopment, the Resch Center, the KI Center, the Multicultural Center we're working on right now, the De Pere Bridge and the referendum for that. So we've been involved in a lot of large community projects, and it's really, it gives you a sense of pride to be involved in part of that, because it's where you're located, it's where we live. So to know in a tiny way you can help shape that, it's great.
If we have listeners joining us right now and they're entrepreneurial or they have a small business, can you share really some of the things you've learned along your way? Obviously your business is very successful and your footprint is local, Midwest, but nationally too. So any tidbits of advice that you could share with people that are listening today?
I have to give credit to my late business partner, Charlie Leonard. When we started our business, he really insisted that we get on board a good accountant, a good financial person, a good bank or credit union, whatever it is that you want to work with, but get a good financial institution, accountant, and a lawyer on board early on to make sure you're doing things the right way. So often I see people with great ideas for businesses, they start up and then they run into financial issues or legal issues because they haven't dotted all the I's and crossed the T's. So I think that's helpful. The other thing is to know what you don't know. I transitioned from being a broadcast journalist into owning a business. Now, I knew PR at that point. I knew nothing about running a business. So I really immersed myself in learning about things, knowing I didn't know how to do payroll. So I had to get somebody to help me do payroll. I didn't just muddle through it. And I think those things are so important when you start, but also asking for help, asking for advice. turning to places like the Chamber with the programs that you offer to help you learn and grow, that really makes a difference.
Well, that's good to hear. And I know sometimes it's hard for all of us to ask for help, but it is good to know what we don't know, and we know other people have expertise, and then bringing that together.
Right.
So if you could share how long you've been in business, and then really what have you seen change in that world of public relations?
I've been in business 30 years
Congratulations.
this year.
That's
Thank
very
you. I don't know how
exciting.
that happened. You know, when you start a business, the first 6 months, Charlie and I worked out of our homes.
Really?
And said, well, if we get along and the business is good, we'll incorporate, which we did. And then we were off and running. So time flies. It's amazing. And I would say the biggest change in the world of communications and PR is how people communicate. It's that digital, online, and social media. And this really dates me, but it shows how much it's changed. When we started our business, we had one email account. One.
Really?
And it was with CompuServe. And we all shared it.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's been the biggest transformation. But again, it also brings up the point of when you own a business, you have to be able to learn and adapt to the marketplace. And if you aren't willing to respond to marketplace changes, you're not going to survive.
Wow, that's really important to know. When we think of people looking for a career path and wanting to enter into public relations, do you have any words of wisdom or advice on how to get started? Okay, you've graduated now, what do you do next?
Well, and obviously you're going to look for a job in it, but internships are vitally important. And if you can't land an internship, volunteer with a nonprofit organization. If you're studying PR in school, most of them welcome the opportunity to have somebody do some of that work or give some of those ideas and start doing that to build your portfolio. That really helps. Talk to people. Even if you're not looking for a job right then and there, talk to people in the business to see what they do and to learn from them. I think that's a big help.
Oh, that's great advice. You know, we have so many people and there's so many career paths, and so trying to get your feet wet and experience that a little bit is certainly good advice. I want to pivot a little bit, and I know that you serve on the Green Bay Packers Board of Directors. And so can you share a little bit about how long you've done that, and when did you find out, and how excited were you to know that you could represent and serve on that board?
Well, when the Lambeau Field redevelopment referendum took place in the late 90s, I volunteered on a citizen committee because I really believe that the Packers are an economic engine for this area.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to see them remain strong. And I truly did believe that if we didn't have that referendum and it didn't pass, we wouldn't be where we are today because we were quickly becoming non-competitive from a financial standpoint. So I worked really hard with that citizens group, and following that successful referendum, I got a call from Bob Harlan asking me to serve on the Packer board. I was stunned. It's not why I became involved, so it was very exciting. And Pat LaViolette, the former library director, and I were the second and third women on the board. We went on the same year. So it was exciting.
It is exciting, and I think you mentioned about the Green Bay Packers being an economic engine, and I think a lot of folks forget that, right? We're excited and we watch the football games, and I think sometimes it's second nature to really think about what they do for the community as far as even tourism or their philanthropy. Can you talk a little bit about how you see them as giving back and participating in the community, making a difference?
And I think for many years they didn't talk a lot about their philanthropy. They've certainly stepped that up in recent years. In addition to the $15 million per game economic impact, they are giving out millions. I think last year was close to $6 million in contributions and support for the community, whether it's small organizations, large nonprofits. I only see that growing. They believe in the community and know that's why we're here and why we're successful. So that giving back is part of who they are.
It's in their DNA, right?
It is.
It's in
It
their
really
DNA.
is.
So if you could go back in time, obviously having your own business, serving on the board, volunteering, really engaged in the community, when you look back, is there anything you'd tell your younger self that you would do differently?
I would say, don't worry so much about the future.
Okay.
Things will take care of itself, but even more so, and I actually use this line when I give graduation speeches, that kind of thing, that your life is not going to turn out the way you have planned, but it can turn out even better than you imagined. And I think that's true for all of us. We have a kind of a set path we think we're on, or maybe you don't know, so you're floundering and you think, I don't know where I'm going. Eventually, it all plays out, and it can end up being so much better even than you thought. So that's what I wish I would have listened to my own advice. Of course, I didn't realize that at the time.
Until now,
yeah,
right?
Until now. But I think, not to worry so much about what happens next.
That's great advice, and I think I'll take that to heart too, because I think we try to control and figure everything out, and we don't know, right? Things change, and the world is very dynamic. So, Susan, thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed not only talking with you today, but your continued support, and I look to you for advice and mentorship, and you're always just a phone call away. So thank you for everything.
Well, it works both ways. I really appreciate you as well, and all the Chamber does for the community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.